Tonight on Life and Times. They're talking tough and having a profound impact. Is this what it takes to turn minority students around?
It was more of holding up a mirror to them and letting them see some things that maybe they were not ready to see or didn't see before.
Oh yes, it was definitely tough love. I was like, oh, did he just say that to us?
Some teachers in Reseda got fed up, tired of minority students underachieving. So they decided to try some brutal honesty, followed up with some tough love. They got results, but they also got some criticism. Tony Gennard takes us to Cleveland High for the story.
Lunchtime at Cleveland High School. It looks like so many other campuses, but there is a difference. It has to do with the African American students. They're being singled out, targeted, and how they've reacted is enough to bring Andre Chevalier, the Dean of Students, to tears.
You're proud of these kids.
Very proud of them.
Do they understand that?
They know, because we love on them, and we tell them that we love them. And you know, we're so proud of the things that they've accomplished in such a short time. We have to give them credit for the things that they're doing. It's incredible.
What Chevalier calls so incredible can be traced back to 2003 when he and teachers Fluke Fluker and Bill Payton had a discussion about the African American students, their behavior, and their grades.
Our test scores for the African American kids at that time at the school was below English as a second language.
I think there was a tremendous amount of frustration on the part of several of the staff members with the image of the African American student on this campus.
Well, we saw inappropriate language, inappropriate behavior. We saw kids that were calling each other the N-word. We saw kids that were not really caring about school, not really caring about themselves, not really aware of their future and what it's going to take for them to have a bright future.
We wanted to, as teachers, pull the African American students out and get them on the right track and get them going in the right direction.
And we were very perturbed and upset, ashamed, humiliated, all those emotions that you could possibly think of. And those emotions evolved into action, and the action took the name of the Village Nation.
The Village Nation. It's a program based on providing a sense of community or family to African American students. A program allowing students to talk about anything, school and home, racism and race.
I don't think it's fair that the two races that are brought down the most in the entire country are fighting against each other. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
Not unlike this conversation in the 11th grade magnet program humanities class.
That's where the whole racism, a lot of racism comes from, is what's our big difference is white people and black people, white people and Latino people. Black people and Latino people. Skin color.
We have AP US history, you know? We have AP US European history, but we don't have AP Latino history, AP Black history.
But unlike this class, in the monthly village meetings, only African American students, staff, and faculty are allowed. The theory that a common thread, race, ties the village elders with the students, allowing them to take an approach others perhaps didn't dare.
We were all like, yeah, we understand, you know, I could relate to that and I understand where he's coming from because they also are black people.
It was more of holding up a mirror to them and letting them see some things that maybe they were not ready to see or didn't see before.
Oh yes, it was definitely tough love. I was like, oh, did he just say that to us? You know?
We woke them up the old-fashioned way with a good dose, firm shaking of both love and discipline.
This concept was unlike anything anyone here at Cleveland High School had ever seen or heard of before. But it was not without its critics. The so-called village elders were even accused of segregating African American students, and parents complained.
At first they questioned it, and I understand why they would question it. I would scrutinize that too if all of a sudden my daughter came home and I found out that she was pulled out of class based on the color of her skin.
Especially the parents whose students were doing well in class and doing well in school. You know, this is racist, this is prejudice, why are you picking on my child?
You know, there were ripplings, a ripple effect from a few people and from a few outside sources, but for the most part, everybody was on board with it.
Since the village was formed, African American students' API scores, the state's test measuring a school's academic performance and growth, jumped year after year, 53 points in 2004, then 37, and then 29 points in 2006. Now the pressure is on to expand the village.
Originally, I thought, why only African American students? And I'd always, wondered, why isn't there a Latin version of the village? Why isn't there an Asian version of the village?
There's this pull to try to do something for the Latino community, which is why, we're trying to make a move to encourage the establishment of the Pueblo, the Latino village, if you will. So there's that pressure that's out there.
We are in the process of bringing the Hispanic students along and pushing them to greatness as well.
One of the things our great black leaders have taught us is to embrace and to love everyone in all cultures.
The process begins now, despite the logistical challenges of bringing together the school's more than 2,000-member Latino student body. The Village Nation is reaching out by hosting the first assembly for Latino students.
I don't care if you're white, if you're black, if you're Mexican, Asian, Latino, Chicano.
The program is called Homeboy Goes to Harvard, and it's a Hispanic guy who came from the barrio.
A lot of times I would get drunk and loaded because I couldn't stand my life. I couldn't stand where I was coming from. I couldn't stand what I represented.
Who went to Harvard and got a degree from Harvard.
I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't need drugs to have a good time.
And so he transforms from a gang member into a suit and shows the students that that you can beat the streets and that you can be a success.
And it took somebody with love to reach out and to provide the support and to guide me.
The speaker, Richard Santana, received his master's degree from Harvard, and that's part of the lesson here. No matter your background or race or beliefs, teachers are there to guide and support the students no matter what.
They're not always making good choices. I mean, they stumble, they fall, they do stupid things. But the beauty of it is kids have really embraced what we're trying to accomplish, and so they self-check, self-police each other. Their dialogue is much different. Their conversation is more respectful toward each other.
And someone once said, students don't care what you know until they know that you care. And we show that we care, and so they show us that they care by going to class, by doing their schoolwork, by not disrespecting teachers and administrators on campus. And so, it's definitely happening.
The village came here because 3 people had a vision, just 3 people. Right? Had a common vision, brought it here, and stuff is happening. That's how it happens. None of us are powerless. And you're right, it needs to be done, so do it. Not you, all of us. Do it.
We know the African-American proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. Actually, the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. In this case, it took children to raise village, meaning adults, to do what they needed to do in the first place.
So you put some of the blame on yourself and others?
Absolutely, the blame is on adults. Absolutely, because we have forgotten these kids. We have not taught them the lessons that we learned during the civil rights movements, and we have not translated that into their language for them to understand.
They're speaking their language now, attracting attention along with criticism and praise. I'm Tony Ginyard for Life and Times.